welcome back to another Room 1-on-1 from the Homeboys. The league is pushed to one side, the Champions League to another, and it's a big one, the Premier Sports Cup. And as Celtic have managed to go to the second round this year, we are welcoming an old foe to Celtic Park for the first time in a good wee while, 3.5 years in fact, when there was 0 fans in attendance. So as Falkirk walk up the Celtic Way, I am delighted to have co-host of the Walking Down Hope Street Falkirk podcast, Lewis Hoggan, to the show. Well, Lewis, how are you, my man?
Yeah, good. Certainly a lot happier after yesterday's result as well. So
brilliant. Yes, we'll come to that in time. Right, so Lewis, we couple of traditions on the show, mate. Generally, when we meet our first guest, I guess for the first time, and we would like them to tell us a wee bit about themselves. So, before we batter on, Lewis Hoggan, why do you support Falkirk?
I'm born and bred Falkirk. I lived here all my life. Probably.
I'm sorry, mate. Sorry about that.
Was that sorry?
I said I'm sorry about that.
Someone's got to live here. But from the house I grew up in, I've only moved about a mile, but the first ever game I went to was it was a testimonial match. My dad took me along to. It was Andy Nicol, his testimonial. So you had the likes of Kenny Dalglish, Tommy Burns, and Graham Souness playing for Falkirk. Unfortunately, I didn't really enjoy that game, and I was taken home before the end. But I properly got into supporting Falkirk when I was about sort of 12. It was prior to the semi-final, which you'll know well.
Both of them.
the replay was probably one of the wettest days in Glasgow, but so it was just by luck that I'd started going to the games prior to that, and then from then to now, I've pretty much been a season ticket holder the whole time. So yeah, I've seen a few highs and a lot of lows.
So I'm talking to the right man. That's excellent. Before we kind of kick on, tell us a wee bit about the podcast.
So Walking Down Hope Street, I think we've been going for about 5 years now. So what we tend to do is we'll interview ex-Falkirk players and just talk about their career and particularly their time at Falkirk. So I think we're at episode 49 now. It's good, and we try and do them all face to face. COVID was obviously a challenge, but then that allowed us to get guys that are in Australia and things like that, and people like Craig Brown as well, which was great to speak to him. It was something else. He had some stories, so but yeah, it's just more to get a bit of an insight into like these Falkirk players who you obviously hear about the stories about the big guys, but you don't really hear about the stories about the Falkirk boys. So
definitely, and like you say, it's definitely an interesting. I think it's a great, because obviously there's a million Celtic podcasts, and the big wigs are now at a point where they're charging people to get interviewed. But I done one way. He was a friend. He's my friend's cousin, and he was on the books with Celtic as a boy. Made one appearance and then come down the leagues and played junior and stuff. And we sat talking about him and see his story. It's magic. It was really, really good. And it just gives you that different scope of what a football player's life and obviously, generally the majority of my life, Falkirk have been floating about the Premier League, First Division, or Championship. You know what I mean? But it's only recently that you guys have kind of took that wee stumble down. That it's interesting to see he's kind of coming back up, especially the way you are. Right. Anyway, second edition, Lewis. Thanks for that, by the way. Second edition is we just have a wee brief fly through of the season before, just to give us a scope of where we are. And I don't think it's going to be a hardship for you looking back at last season. Right, so we'll rattle in. As always, anything you want to jump in, you're more than welcome. So, former Celtic super scout and former Hearts Wraith Rover Livingston manager John McGlynn took the club into his second full season after that second place in the Scottish League One the previous season, missing out in promotion to Airdrie. So the League Cup kicked off in July, drawing with Spartans, Partick Thistle, Dundee United and Peterhead. 2 wins and a draw and an extra point and a narrow defeat to Dundee United wasn't enough, as Partick Thistle edged the group by a point and the League Cup was ended before it started.
Yep.
In the Scottish Cup, a 3-0 home win over former Titan United was followed by a 4th round 2-1 defeat to Bonnyrigg Rose in the Scottish Cup. Followed suit and was gone for the season. I would imagine at that point you wouldn't really care. I mean,
I think it's just that it's always good to get the financial sort of bonus, but the way that the league went, obviously, I think you'll obviously come onto it, but the league form speaks for itself, I guess. Yeah.
So we'll get the Challenge Cup out of the way. We fared a bit better. And away win over Ayr United set the team on their way. Followed that with 2 great home wins over Queen's Park and Dundee United 4-2, setting up a home semi-final tie against the New Saints from Wales. 26-minute goal was enough to settle the tie for the visitors as they progressed to the final and lost to Airdrie in Falkirk. Right, anyway, the league is where it was at. What a season. An unbeaten year of football, catching many plaudits on the way, clinching the title with 5 games to spare and battering poor Montrose 7-1 on the way. So in the 36 games played, 27 wins, 9 draws, 0 defeats, 96 goals scored, 28 conceded, a goal difference of plus 68, 90 points on board, 16 ahead of Hamilton Accies, who in turn won the playoff and got themselves promoted. League champions, promotion back to the championship for the first time in 5 seasons. So disappointment in the cups, but after coming second the previous season, albeit to a rampant Dunfermline, the league was the aim, done it in style. You must have been chuffed, mate.
No, absolutely. I think if that last season was unbelievable, and you know it's never been done in Falkirk's history before, an invincible season. You look at the season prior to that, and we did do so well, but when we came to the playoffs, it was a capitulation. You know, we lost so heavily to Airdrie at their stadium, and so it was good to, you know, get a bit of revenge yesterday, I guess. But you know, John McGlynn said right from the start when he came in, this is a 2-year project to get us out of this league.
Excellent.
And you know, I would say a lot of the fans were pretty upset with the playoff, like how badly the playoffs went the season before. And it just, I think slowly, people got back on board in his second season, and you know, it shows that, you know, sticking with a manager actually works out.
Right. So would there have been a wee bit of a backlash on him for the playoff, would there? I can't imagine overwhelmed me, but still enough.
I think it wasn't maybe a backlash on him. It was just, I think there was a bit of a backlash in general.
Right.
You know, we've been down in this division for in the League One for 5 years. We're getting, you know, I think everyone was a bit tired of it. And you know, I think just because we lost so heavily to Airdrie, it was difficult to take. But you know, last season has sort of put that into insignificance. You hardly even remember the season before because of how well last season went. So
I would also imagine, obviously, the start you've had, and we'll come to that in more detail in a minute, but the start you've had this season league-wise would almost justify that other year in there, because you look like a much more settled squad and unit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think in that first season as well with McGlynn, you had guys who needed to be shifted out of the team. No two ways about it. And there's only so many people who are looking for these players, or you know, or you know, how many deals that you can get done essentially at this level. But you know, I'd say the club backed McGlynn to get his own players in, like last season, and it is night and day, honestly. And then the way that we started this season, it seems to have gone from strength to strength.
Brilliant, mate. Brilliant. Okay, so we'll talk about this season then. Couples of ins and outs. Like I'm saying, I mean, it's really interesting you're talking about the guys who needed to go. I've spoken about it in your main show. I was watching Les Ferdinand on the overlap, and now Les Ferdinand on the director of football thing.
Yeah.
And he says, well, we get relegated, and I'm thinking, right, we'll get straight back up. I just get rid of him and him and him. I couldn't get rid of him and him and him and him. It's fucking, we're all championship manager heads, aren't we? I will just get shot at him and we'll bring this in. Whereas these guys are going, I'm not going anywhere. So you might need that. Right. So let's get into it. Right? So most of the squad retained. Stephen McGinn, who turned out 64 times over the last 2 seasons, retired. Subsequently took up an under-18 coaching role with former club St Mirren. Brad Mackay, the 31-year-old centre-back who was on loan at Celtic last season, joined Brecon City on a free. And Ola Lawal, the 22-year-old attacking midfielder, was released. Yep. Jordan Allen, Reece Walker, Logan Sinclair moved to Clyde, Cowdenbeath and Gallifreydin respectively. So the ends, Michael McKenna, 33-year-old former Livingston and Arbroath midfielder, was picked up on a free in a 1-year deal. Ethan Ross, 23-year-old midfielder, was signed from Raith Rovers on a free after turning out for his last season on loan. Yep. Jamie Snedden, 26-year-old goalkeeper, was picked up for Partick Thistle after making over 125 appearances. And finally, the big one, Dylan Tate, 22-year-old midfielder, also saw his loan spell made permanent as he signed up in the summer for an undisclosed fee. Now, not a lot there, but I'm sure you've seen them all, especially the ones in loan and stuff like that. Were you happy with them? Did you get what you wanted? Is there still positions you think?
To be honest, I think the signings of Ethan Ross and Dylan Tate were key. Right. Them coming in last season, they were excellent, and I would say they're going from strength to strength. Dylan Tate's a player who's worked with McGlynn at his time at Raith Rovers before, and then he's brought him in here, and he just something seems to work really well between the two of them. Michael McKenna, he's got a history of being a key player for Arbroath. You know, he's maybe an older head, a steady head, but we've not really had a chance to see much of him like starting because the team are doing so well at the moment. Yeah. And likewise with Jamie Snedden, the goalie, so he's currently injured, but we've got Nicky Hogarth in goals, who's you know, he's hardly conceding anything at the moment.
He's like the part, aye.
So,
right.
But I'd say what I would say is we're maybe lacking one sort of defender and another attacker. So when Jordan Allen went out on loan, there wasn't another attacker coming in. But I would say I can understand what they're doing. There's no point in bringing someone in to sit on the bench. It's got to be someone who's got to be of a equal or higher quality to challenge.
Do you see Jordan Allen coming back like?
No.
No, done.
I think that's him. He's out on loan for the season, so right. It just doesn't seem to. I don't know. It doesn't seem to work. I mean, he's obviously scored goals at League One level. Not entirely sure how much he played at Championship level, but I think certainly the club are obviously trying to maintain like their sort of financial sort of stability and not over recruit. But I think if the season continues in the way that it started, that's when you maybe start looking at, right, we maybe need a couple more in January, similar to like Dylan Tate and Ethan Ross last season.
Dylan Tate's an interesting one because obviously I've done this a couple of times with our Hibs guy, and his name always comes up as somebody who would always go out on loan. However, he's always somebody that the Hibs fans are going, if he can get it right, he's got a great future. He's got a really, I mean, he's maybe he's not at that level now, but I mean, certainly in the football he's playing for you guys, he is somebody that you can imagine. He's 22-year-old. A couple of years' time, maybe he'll grow into himself and he'll become that. Maybe with you guys when you win a league this year.
well, that was the big thing. We signed him on a 2-year deal, and I think that was a big surprise to everyone. Right. We all thought it was maybe just going to be a 1 year and see how we get on sort of thing. But he's for me, he's our sort of key player in the team. He's the one that makes everything tick. Him and Brad Spencer in the middle of the park, but he's just got this touch of class about him, and he scores key goals. He gets stuck in, and he likes to wind up the opposition, which is always good. We've needed that sort of player in our team for a while. Someone who aggravates the opposition and the fans, obviously.
And he's good. I mean, it's one thing having a guy who's an arsehole, but if you have a guy who's an arsehole who's good, you've cracked it. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. He backs it up with his ability, and that's actually, I did say that to one of my mates yesterday. It's like, he can wind folk up, but then he can also deliver the sucker punch as well. So again, we'll come to the games, but I've been watching the games, and I'll tell you who he reminds me. I just feel he's reminding me of when I was watching Dundee and the boy we've signed. Do you know what I mean? Luke McCowan reminds me of that kind of player. Do you know what I mean? Set of boys on him to go and try things. That's it. Because I was interested in his signing with Celtic. Like, is he going to get a game? But obviously, he scored yesterday, so.
It'll be interesting. We talk about it as well because we see it, without wanting to go mad deep into us, we see it as a no gamble signing. We're allowing one of our own to come and play, and it's really up to him whether he takes the jersey. Do you know what I mean? And he's got a lot of competition, but he's definitely a talented player. I mean, I've done this with Jake for the Dundee a couple of years now since he got promoted, and every time I talk about him, I always pick him out and go, he's a smashing player. But me and you are fans. We go to the game. They're the kind of guys we want to watch.
Exactly. You know what I mean? That's it. And it again, people may think that this is like a wild statement, but like when we signed Russell Latipi, like way back, he was. I mean, he was this sort of. I mean, he had the reputation, but the ability that he had was incredible, even at his age. And I'm trying to think of a player that we've signed since Russell Latipi that's had that effect, like on the team, and the fans love him, absolutely love him. Like, I was
there before him, Chris Waddle. Remember that one?
I know. So I actually miss Chris Waddle because he only signed for the month, and it was literally, I think it was the game after he had left. I started going along.
Right.
But yeah, I mean. I can remember being outside the ground and hearing like the roar and seeing the crowds going in, and I'm going, I fancy a bit of that. So,
yeah. Chris Waddle, fucking hell, man! Even old days, showing ages here, haven't we?
That's it. Not many people can say that they've signed someone like him.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. Right, so you've said to you guys, and I think that's fair to do, right? But so I'm going to look at the squad wise, right? And I'm going to go through, as I always do. This is where I show my total ignorance, right? Because I'm going to look at names I recognise, and I'm just going to swip by a whole bunch of guys. But that's why you're going to help me, right? So two names that I recognise, and then somebody else. Unsurprisingly, Calvin Miller. Calvin Miller. He was a fullback at Celtic. He was probably stayed at Celtic far too long, but as I'm led to believe, he'd a pretty good contract and fuck him. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, even if you go back and look at him at 26-year-old, he's had a very good career, isn't he, as a football player? I mean, we all get blinded because he's not played in the Premier League constantly, but as a football player, he's represented Scotland at every under level. Aidan Nisbet, again, 27-year-old, turned out over 100 times for the club. Was at Celtic as a boy.
Yeah, that's I think they played in the same team as well.
Right. Another, and Aidan Nisbet is another one who represented his country at many underage. Carl Donaldson's another one that always sticks in me because I just always remember him being in the Premier League, be it with Dundee United or Ross County, and he's your captain. Right, and this one is a new one to me, so I'm cheating with this one because this one comes with the highlights. Okay. So, Alfie Agiman, right? So he joined you last summer. He's a 24-year-old Ghanaian, played for Motherwell, Queen's Park, BSC, who turned into Broomhill, and then Celtic before coming to Falkirk. But my God, he's I mean, especially in that game yesterday. I mean, I've never, hands up, I have never heard of the guy. What a game he had yesterday.
Yeah, so I think there's another Falkirk podcast called Falkirk Daft, and they've sort of nicknamed him Captain Chaos.
Right, one of these guys, aye.
Yeah, like no one knows what he's going to do, including him. So, but he is an absolute handful. I can remember the first time that I saw him play. He was playing for Celtic against us, and I'm sure he scored 2, and he absolutely ruined our defence. this was in McGlynn's first season, and I think it was basically, well, not just that game, but that and other appearances that season sealed it for him. But yeah, no, the guys that you've mentioned, like Nesbitt's been here for a while now, and he's made himself. He's injured at the moment, but he's made himself quite indispensable in the team. I don't know. As the years have gone on, he's improved with us, I would say, massively. Calvin Miller has just been unbelievable since he's come in as well. So influential. Everyone used to talk about, or like in prior seasons, we talk about Callum Morrison as being, the key player for getting the goals and things like that. But you've got Callum Morrison on one side and then Calvin Miller on the other side, and they're as dangerous as each other, I would say, at this level anyway. So again, he's moved forward from that left back position to a sort of left winger role, and I think it suits him, to be fair. He seems to manage to time the runs really well and behind the defence. So.
Callum Morrison's only 25 as well. Do you know, still young guys, eh?
Yeah, absolutely. So you've got your older heads. You're probably looking at likes of your Cole Donaldson. I think Brad Spencer's maybe 27, something like that.
You're calling him the old head, are you?
Yeah, that's it. Michael McKenna's, I think, the only one that's plus 30 in the team. So,
wow, really?
Aye.
Fucking hell.
But yeah, the thing that I find is quite good with the team, and it's the squad, is the fact that last year you had Finn Yates playing right back and Leon McCann playing left back. Neither of them can get in the team at the moment, because we signed this boy Keelan Adams from Cumbernauld, and he is absolutely flying.
From Cumbernauld, and he's flying in. That's excellent. That's great.
And then we've got Sean Mackey at left back, who scored the second goal yesterday, and he couldn't get a game last season. But it's a good, he's stayed on for another year. He got a game towards the end of the season because I think it was Liam McCann had an injury, but it shows how like the sort of strength and depth there. But and there doesn't seem to be sort of any unrest if you're not getting a game. If we're winning games, then you can't disrupt that team.
100%, mate. 100%. Right. So who else of that we've no mentioned do you think is a guy come Sunday that whatever happens you'll be going? By the way, he's a smashing wee player. What do you think? Maybe your forwards actually look decent enough.
So yeah, you've got Ross McKeever through the middle, and his return, his goal return since he signed for us has been brilliant compared to anywhere else he's been. I don't think he'd hit double figures anywhere else before.
According to Wikipedia, right? Aye.
And he's he's a handful. He doesn't look the tallest guy, but he's just 100%, work rate constantly. So he always gives everything. It is those two in the middle of the park, Brad Spencer and Dylan Tate, are the ones. Right. If they get a bit of time on the ball, that's they can start to make things tick. But going into Sunday, we've not played anyone anywhere near Celtic's quality, so it's going to be interesting. I went to the game that we lost 8-1, and we went on to win the league that year. So
there you go. There you go. There's a positive right there.
You just got to go in with an open mind and hope for the best, really.
Definitely. Well, right, so we'll come to the game of the weekend in a second, right? I'm going to kind of push you here, and this is just more about Falkirk in general. Like I say, my ignorance here, out of sight, out of mind. I remember when he's dropped down, I was a bit surprised by it. I never even knew he's played on a synthetic pitch until I watched the highlights there. I've not been at your grunning that long. So how are the club looking financially wise, ownership wise? Are they in a good place? Are you content the club's heading in the right direction?
I think financially wise, I know that we've sort of made losses every year when we've been in League One. Yeah. There's also the whole thing about when we shut our academy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Because we did make a lot of money out of that, but I think when you're in even the championship for so long, it's really hard to sustain the costs of running an academy, or even trying to get, when they brought in like the elite levels, you're having to fork out a fortune to try and hit the sort of top level of academy. So I'm not saying that it was the right move for them to do what they did. I can understand why they did it, but it backfired and it went from bad to worse. And when Paul Hartley came in, he signed a lot of players who weren't good enough for the championship, and ultimately he got sacked. Ray McKinnon came in, and then it was too little, too late. And then it's just been this 5 years. It's been a sort of reset. There's a sort of Falkirk Supporter Society who now own, I think they've got like a majority shareholding, or certainly one of the majority shareholdings in the club now.
Really?
Yeah.
That's excellent. I never knew that at all. That's excellent. Great stuff.
But I think if you're looking at long term, like, I think this is a good model to have sort of fan ownership and to bring a bit of stability in the club. Mm-hmm. But if you're looking long term, say you get to the Premier League, you want to sustain in the Premier League, you want to build a fourth stand, things like that. It's going to be a tough ask, I would say,
100%.
if you're relying on fans to stump up 100%. For that. So.
I mean, you see with Motherwell, obviously the infrastructure's there. Motherwell's went through their own financial troubles, so for them to kind of get themselves into positions excellent, to the point that they've had bids, they've had tries, the Netflix guy trying to come in and stuff like that. But like what Hearts is doing is unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, it's one thing saying, as you say, the Falkirk want to kind of get themselves up, get themselves back in the Premier League, get themselves signing next level of guys. Then you need that wee bit more investment.
Yeah, definitely. I think
I don't know if you have a big carrot in your shirt anymore.
It's still there. but no, I think we've had various different sort of fan groups. So I was involved in one called Burn for Life, where people would put £10 a month in, and then that would go towards like signing new players. That sort of got rolled into the Falkirk Supporter Society. But I think, when these initiatives started, we were never on a good footing on the pitch. And I think you need to have a successful team on the pitch to make it successful for these other initiatives. The other thing that I think has made a massive difference, certainly last season, and it's all into this season, is we've got like an ultra section now.
Right.
So they're good, to be fair. The noise that comes out of them, I mean, again, it's not Celtic Park size, but it makes a massive difference at Falkirk Stadium, absolutely, and away.
I clocked them at the Dunfermline game. I watched that one at Dunfermline. Some support took up with Dunfermline.
That's it. So they're obviously our rivals, and I think we're near on 2,000 supporters. So it just shows that even with like how bad things have been for like the past sort of 5 years in League One, we've kept that core support and we've actually grown it. And excellent. I mean, I don't know, you're hearing about people who are starting to support the club like this season, older guys who have been at other, like, supporting other clubs before. But we're in a good place geographically to grow the club or grow the support. I think you've got, in the area of Falkirk and surrounding areas, you've got 150,000 people, so you can certainly push on that. So,
well, it doesn't help when you're playing some decent football, does it? Doesn't hurt, should I say?
Yeah, definitely.
Right. So we'll have a gander at this season. I'll fly through the results and stuff like that, and then we can come back on ourselves and just have a chat about it. So the season so far: Scottish League Cup, drawn again with Dundee United, Ayr United, Buckie Thistles, Tennismuir. Wins over United at home, 1-0 reverse away to Ayr, 5-1 win away win in Buckie, and then a 4-0 win over Steny. Left Falkirk top of the group with 9 points, ahead of United with a better goal difference of 4. So next up with Hearts at home, an absolute stinker of a draw, if you be honest about it.
Yeah.
But after an eachy-peachy first half, Falkirk took the second half to their opponents, and second half goals and a late red card saw Falkirk through to play Celtic this Sunday afternoon. Scottish Challenge Cup, the Bairns were drawn away to Stennismuir. Falkirk red card for Lewis Henry in the 67th minute, but 2 late goals by each side, plus a mad penalty by yourselves. Took the game of penalties and Stennis get through 5-4. League-wise, it's gone fucking wonderful. Opening day 2-1 win over Queen's Park. I'll definitely come back to that. Was followed by a nice 2-0 win over your rivals Dunfermline. Another 2-1 win over Partick Thistle. Late Brad Spencer winner kept the run going, and then a great match and win against Morton after coming back for 2-0 down and yet 1-3-2. Then yesterday, Saturday the 15th, the Bairns through goals in the 72nd, 79th minute for Dylan Tate and Sean Mackey maintained the 100% league record, leaving them sitting adrift at the top with a 100% record as after Airdrie with Partick Thistle. So that's now 43 games league undefeated.
Yep.
Right. So this come back in ourselves. Right. So the League Cup, Dundee United game. I mean, for the highlights, I stress this is all highlights from
no problem.
From the fantastic Falkirk channel, by the way. Outstanding. I mean, good 10-minute highlights for every game. Brilliant. Yeah. So Dundee United game, thoroughly deserved to win. I mean, look at it. I mean, they missed a pinch, but you battered United at times, hit the bar twice, 2 great goals, fantastic win. Ayr United looks like just one of the days, to be honest.
Yeah, it just didn't seem like it was going to go in the net for us. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get down to that one, but again, looking at the highlights.
So it's your fault. It's your fault, right. I mean, the save for that Harry Stone and the free kick, and then you've had the crossbar, you've had the post. One of the days. The Bucky Thistle game was a wee bit tougher, despite going one each, but ultimately easy peasy when you start getting the goals. And then the Stennismuir game looked like an absolute whitewash, battered them.
Yeah.
So you've topped the group there. Happy days. You're through the Hearts game. So League Cup wise, job done. And I suppose for you, right, but Billy Big Boys here. I mean, we're never in the League Cup groups, but I would presume you would actually use them as pre-season friendlies to an extent, wouldn't you? I mean,
yeah, I mean that's the way that we had to look at it, and it was quite a good or quite an interesting draw for us because we had the winners of the Championship, the winners of League One ourselves, the winners of League Two, and the Highland League winners. So, but I think when we got the result against Dundee United, you're like, right, that was obviously the first game, and then you're going, okay, you've got a real chance of qualifying here. You know, you get through the sort of lesser games in inverted commas, but your biggest challenge is obviously your top seed. So, obviously delighted that we did it in style against Bucky and Stennismuir. It was a case of making sure that we scored one more or two more than Ayr United, and I don't think they even won their last match anyway.
I don't think so. Dundee United, you edged out anyway.
That's right, and then obviously the Hearts game after a couple of sort of shaky points at the start.
That's right. Yeah.
Second half in particular, we sort of steamrolled them. So
that's my summary. It was maybe fortunate to get to 0-0 after the early stages. I've hit the bar. I maybe should have done better. But you grew into the game. You've had a great chance in the first half, dragged it wide, and then second half battered them. Battered them. The Queen's Park game. Now, I watched, as you can imagine, I'm skipping through some highlights. But the Queen's Park game, I watched the whole thing. It looked like a beastie game of football. Because Queen's Park played some decent football. You've scored an own goal. Dom Thomas's goal was a fucking belter. And then you guys have scored end to end. Looked a brilliant game. And to come out the end, you must have been buzzing.
Oh, absolutely. And you're on. That was the Friday night game on the TV. So you want to go out and make a statement, show that you're here to compete. You're not just making up the numbers. And certainly we've experienced sort of Queen's Park in League One as well with their injection of finances and stuff like that. So it was good to go and sort of not just match them, but beat them. When they got the goal back, we went straight up the park and went for it, and it's sort of set the standard for the season, I think.
Right, so then you've got that Dunfermline game. I think the wind played its part that day. It was a big windy day. A great one.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I mean, again, they've had the sort of bragging rights over us for sort of the last season, beating us to the league, and I'd say probably quite comfortably for them in the end. But to get that win, bringing a big crowd, as you say, to the stadium, and I think we could have probably done a bit more damage to them as well.
I think so.
This is the thing, and again, something that we've been talking about is like previous seasons. You were struggling to make 2 or 3 attempts on goal. You're raining down about 20 shots a game. So as long as a few of them go in, that's the main thing.
Well, the next 2 games, I mean, Partick Thistle, it looks like a narrow win, but again, by the highlights, admittedly Falkirk highlights, it looked like one of the days where one bit of solo fucking magnificence for them was going to get them a draw, but he stepped up. I mean, Henderson scored an absolute fucking peach that day and all, do you know what I mean? But I want to come to the Morton game, right? The Morton game, never a penalty, and they should have had a penalty. No chance. That's a dive. So you were 2-0 down, and you work your way back in, and you got a penalty, and then you've ended up winning it. I mean, I think you've stole it, but sometimes you need to get
that's the same. I mean, that's the Dylan Tate effect. He gets poleaxed in the box, definite penalty, and then he rolls in the equaliser as well. So and celebrates in front of the fans.
Damn straight, man. Damn straight. You've obviously got that Stennis Muir game. I think another one of the days. If you've won 4-0 again, I don't think anybody would have moaned that day.
No, that was an opportunity for some of the guys who weren't getting a game to come in and have a go. And to be fair, on another day, we would have won comfortably. The penalty miss is a bit of a bizarre one. He's kicked it off his other foot and it's gone in, but the boy Jameson in goals for Stenhouse-Muir, he's well experienced. He's had a great game as well. So fair play to them. They've edged us out in the penalties and that's it. But we've just got to focus on what we've got now.
Eyes the big prize. Eyes the big prize, Lewis. So we'll finish off obviously with yesterday's game. First half again looked like a really, really good game of football. Like 2 teams. I mean, you guys have had plaudits for the last year. Airdrie have had plaudits for the last 2 years, and the 2 years try to play football. But the second half, total domination, deserved your win.
I'd say there's a big win factor in that one as well. So the first half, like Airdrie had the wind with them, and that was when they got maybe a couple of chances, and we were still managing to play it out of the defence and create chances of our own. I mean, in the second half it was total domination, but again, you look at it, I think we hit the post 3 times, hit the crossbar once as well, and we've missed 2 one-on-ones. But then it's a world day from Dylan Tate, and then he's set up Sean Mackey on the left as well.
It's a good goal as well. It's an great goal.
But Mackey was desperate for a goal. The number of times he was hitting shots there. So, but it's a great style of football. It's that's your 2 full-backs are right up attacking. It's strange to see as a Falkirk supporter, I'm not going to lie.
Mate, I can tell you're a professional because that segue was magnificent. You've took me right into my next thing, right? So, guys like Open Goal, guys on Clyde, whoever you listen to, they've always been very complimentary about the style of football. Now, I've freely admitted I don't catch much Falkirk stuff, if any. So I'm watching it there and I'm watching the games. It does look like a very enjoyable way to play football. Obviously, you've got that synthetic pitch. That's never been a great bugbear of mine, that even though it does frustrate a hell of a lot of Celtic fans.
Yeah.
But I would imagine that helps you to play, because the football you're playing is on the deck, it's playing out for the back, it's playing through your midfield. But what's interesting as well, on top of that, Calvin Miller's deliveries are making these really dangerous at set pieces as well. The amount of headers, and it's very interesting because obviously, as a Celtic fan, we get a lot of penalties because we're always attacking. And you guys seem to be doing the same. Seem to be getting lots of penalties, lots of shout for penalties because you're always in the front foot. It must be great to watch. Must be great.
Yeah, no, I mean, like speaking to my dad and my brother about it. I mean, none of us have really sort of expected us to play anything like this, or you know, we've not experienced anything like this in a long time. I think the last time, I mean, there's certain teams that I go back to that I can remember, and like when we had Ian McCall for like the 6 months, and he did like Hearts 4-0, and it was that same sort of expansive attacking football, attacking fullbacks. That was the last time that I can sort of really remember like being properly excited. I mean, Yogi's teams were good. They were industrious. They got the results. They ultimately got us to the Premier League, but there was definitely an excitement about McCall's team. But now the team that McGlynn has, it's hard to describe how, you know, how attacking we are. It's, you know, it's great.
It's very commendable, especially if you get back to what you said right at the beginning. He's set you a plan. He's not give you any bullshit. He basically says, right, give me 2 years to get this right. And he hit the bar once and then he takes you up. And I mean, where you are the new, it's going to be tough to maintain that. Of course it is. It's a hard old season. It's a hard old league. But there's enough to be said. Why not? I know there's enough to be said.
Definitely, and I think that's it. You just got to take it one game at a time just now. I mean, I think my biggest fear is, you know, when that run comes to an end, is how do we bounce back from it? You know, it's showing that sort of character to just dust it off and go, right, well, let's go again. So
let's start a new one.
Yeah. So you know, I'm hopeful that I think the next 3 league games are, I don't know in what order, but it's certainly against Wraith, Livingston and Ayr. So I think they're our 3 biggest challenges. Even with Wraith at the bottom of the league, considering how strong they've been in the past couple of years, you can't write them off.
Yeah, away to Wraith on the 28th, and then the 5th October home to Ayr United, which you've already seen what they can do on the counter. And then you've got home to Livingston on the Wednesday night, the 8th October. So as you say, get into that party. Then you get Party Thistle against you on the 12th. So it's a fair. By the way, I'm looking at it. I think you get to Morton on the 2nd of November. So if you come through all of them, you've got Wraith Rovers away, Ayr United at home, Livingston at home, Thistle away, Hamilton away, Dunfermline at home. Yeah. If you're coming through that, maybe a defeat in there, maybe a draw, 2 draws or something, if you're coming through that and you're still kind of floating about, then you must be going, aye, why not?
That's it. It's certainly good. You know, this season for me was like ultimately safety is the main thing. But, you know, if you can push to sort of mid-level, potentially playoff places, then perfect. But, you know, 5 wins out of 5, can't complain.
No. Take as it comes, my man. Take as it comes. Right, okay, let's go on to the weekend. Right, so I will try my best to not be patronising, right? I will try my best. If I'm patronising, I don't mean to be.
No, not at all.
So this weekend, right, what are your thoughts on how you would set up a team? How do you think McGlynn will set up? Is McGlynn capable of changing you into a fucking sit back, see how it goes team? Or because the honest thing, you've just spoke about it could be a doing. The football you play suits us. You know that? Do you know what I mean? That's the football you guys play. It's open, it's expansive, it forces the game on the opposition. Yeah. That creates a lot of space for us. So
I think for me, if you try and change it to an ultra defensive formation, I think you're asking for trouble. I think that's when, you know, it just welcomes the pressure from Celtic. It's a difficult one. You'd maybe...
Do you know, I'm going to equate it with you, Lewis. Sorry to interrupt you there.
Yeah. No.
It's like us playing Livingston on the Saturday and then going to Paris on the Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck do you do? Do you know what I mean? Oh,
no. yeah, exactly. Because I mean, the thing is, you know, you're maybe, I don't know how much time on the ball you're going to get at Celtic Park, but you know, it's a difficult one to call for me for what they would do. Maybe drop the attacking midfielder and put a defensive midfielder on, but keep the shape, keep it sort of, don't sit in your own half. I think that's maybe the only thing, you know, try and win the ball in the middle of the park and try and keep the ball a bit and maybe try and frustrate Celtic for a bit. I would assume with the European tie midweek that Celtic will probably have sort of fringe players.
I think we'll change up, but the frustrating thing from your point of view, you call them fringe. Maybe if you get us later on, maybe you get us in the first round of the Scottish Cup, you could call them fringe players. But see, right now we've got a big bunch of new guys who are all wanting to take the jersey. So I mean, you talk about Luke McCown, Engels just comes in, but it depends on who starts. We've got a £6 million USA international sitting waiting to make.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Exactly. You've got Tony Ralston, who's a Scottish international. Whatever you think about him, don't know, a good player. You know what I mean? Exactly. So whilst I think fringe player is frustratingly a wrong description for it. So
but I'm just more meaning the boys that aren't getting
I know
the game.
I do know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Because it was like again, I look back at the 8-1 game, and there was boys like Ross Wallace and Aidan McGeady who got a goal, and I'm sure was it Ross Wallace got a hat trick, but then Juninho was playing as well, just to make it a bit easier, you know.
Juninho, jeez, man, right? So we'll have a look at that one, because do you know what? I never actually went back and looked at that game, 2004. Did you say bang on the button? Ross Wallace free kick, hat trick. Right, so we'll look at the teams, right? Rab Douglas, who's Phil Harden, Bobo Baldy, Ulrich Lawson, Stephen McManus, Alan Thompson, McGeady, Lambert, Pearson, Wallace, Silla, Juninho, Hedman, Lennon, Petrov, Varga. So, that's a tough one. So you had, right, so you Hill, Laurie, James, Campbell, Hughes, McPherson, O'Neill, Nichols, McInnesby, Lappy, Moutinho, Mackenzie, Duffy, Thompson,
yep.
I can't remember.
The only one you'd know there is John Hughes, probably.
John Hughes. Who's O'Neill?
Brian O'Neill, ex Hibs. John O'Neill. John O'Neill.
John O'Neill. I remember John O'Neill. I'm thinking John O'Neill might have been started at Celtic at some point.
He certainly he played with Dundee United for a bit. He was one of the Jim McLean's boys.
He was that's a different John O'Neill. Yeah, that's that John O'Neill, right? Aye. He played with you. I played John O'Neill Falkirk, so 2003. Right, okay. I'm getting myself. I'm going older there. Back in Espy, he played with St Johnson.
Yep.
Who was the Moutinho? I remember the Moutinho boy.
Aye, Pedro Moutinho.
Pedro Moutinho, yeah.
Aye, so I think he signed for us 3 times.
Right. A legend, is it? Don't go that far.
Some people, I think he was like a bit of an icon. He came back one season, and I think on his debut he scored an equaliser against Celtic. So it was the 3 each game. So, but he had the ability, just not the consistency. I think.
Sounds like myself. Fucking hell. Right, okay. I'm gonna fling at you. You're gonna give me a prediction.
I mean, I don't know if we're going to score 2 or 3 or 4, but no. I think in all honesty, if I would like us to frustrate you, and I can't see. There's no one at Celtic's level at this point, so I would.
Right, well, you don't need to bother it.
I'm hoping for a draw.
Right, okay, right. We'll go with that. I'm happy with that. Right. Before I let you go, mate, because that's been excellent, right? I've thoroughly enjoyed talk. Like I say, I like talking about the opposition and stuff like that. What would your hope be this season, right? And this is you as a fan, right? I'm trying. Forget one game at a time thing, right? So you've already said to me that you thought keep myself out of relegation, maybe push the higher edges, brilliant. However, the way it started, the way you've looked. What's your hopes for the season short term? But then after that, tell me your hopes for the club long term. Now that you're kind of aiming up the way instead of down the way now.
Yeah. Okay. So short term now, I'd say after 5 games, 5 wins, you've got to look at. I would say I would be hoping for us to finish in the top 4 minimum. Anyway, I'd still. As I say, if we lose a match, I don't know how we're going to react to it, and that's where I still have. I think I said in another podcast, I have a bit of pessimism about myself. Yeah. So, I'm
with waiting. You. I'm with you. I'm one of the people as well.
Waiting for
like that. It protects you.
Exactly. Waiting for everything to go wrong. But no, what I would like, if we were fortunate enough to go on and go up through winning or through playoffs, we get that one season with the AstroTurf in place before it's got to get ripped up. So I would like us to try and, again, you want to get 11th or 10th place there.
Of course.
Just get that sort of Premier League money, because there is the money just drops off as soon as you come out of the Premier League. Get that money behind us so that we can afford to restore, bring back the grass park. I mean, a good grass park is always the best option, but the second best option is a good AstroTurf park, not a bobble, like a bobbly one here, there, and everywhere. But just re-establish ourselves in the Premier League, and we do have a youth academy back in place, but let's try and grow that again, get back to what we're good at. But what I do think we have now is our core support is a lot bigger than what it was the last time we were in the Premier League. So I think we should be looking at clubs like St Mirren, for example, and saying, why can't we aspire to that level at least? So I think that's they've had European football this year. We should be looking to try in the long term and grow to that level, I would say.
Definitely. Look at St Johnstone. St Johnstone have solidified themselves, and you tell me St Johnstone a bigger club than Falkirk? I'll speak to Greg about that next week. But right, before I let you depart, first of all, thank you very much. It's been excellent.
Thanks for having
me. Where can the people find you on social media? Where can the people find your podcast on social media? Should they choose to? They might not, but they might.
So our podcast is at WDH Street on X. It's also on Facebook as well, Walking Down Hope Street. I'm Lufal on Twitter as well, or X. So if anyone wants to give me any abuse, they can do that. Our podcast can be found on likes of Spotify or Apple Music, stuff like that. Just all the usual places. You don't get to see our faces, though.
They don't let us on Spotify. Spotify have fell out with us, so we can't go on Spotify. But that's by and by. Right, so I'll finish off with my usual ending. I hope your team gets pumped at the weekend, but I hope you go and have a fantastic season. Hope everything keeps going well for you. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I really, really hope I'm speaking to you next season. I hope I'm hitting you up and we're talking about your Premier League exploits. But Lewis Hoggan, thank you very much, my friend.
Cheers, thanks for having us, Scott.
Oh, they're the boys in navy blue, and we'll support them through and through, 'cause we're as proud as we can be of the Mighty Falkirk SFC. We'll stay together through thick and thin, together and fight until we win, 'cause we're as proud as we can be of the Mighty Falkirk SFC. Na 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 na, na 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 na, hey, Under the boys in navy blue, and we'll support them through and through, 'cause we're as proud as we can be of the Mighty Falkirk Bears of Sea. We'll stay together through thick and thin, together and fight until we win, 'cause we're as proud as we can be of the Mighty Falkirk Bears of Sea. Na 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 na, na 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 na, hey, Falkirk Bears, na 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 na, na 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 na, hey, Falkirk Bears. Na 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 na